Carlos Ramirez, owner of NVS Audio, Roselle, New Jersey. So Rob Farnsworth, owner of Pairadice Cycles, is one of the best, in my opinion, custom motorcycle builders in the United States, specializing in Harley Davidsons. So for years he's been making a custom switch panel which eliminates the ignition switch turn knob, and it's just a flush mount button, one for accessory and one for ignition power, or he makes a single button setup where it's just ignition accessory combined. He builds these panels just to add a custom clean look on a lot of these custom bikes. I reached out to him, told him I wanted to make a video on the buttons, not that he needed recognition for building of the buttons. All the custom builders already, everybody builds a custom bike already knows about his custom switches and buttons. I needed it on the factory side. Now that we're doing the Soundstream Reserve radio on the older 13 down street glides, and some of the bikes, the ignition switch comes in contact with the screen, and whether you adjust the fairing or not, you just can't get enough clearance. On my personal 13 down street glide, I just didn't like the look of the ignition switch being so close to the bottom of the screen. So I reached out to Rob, and Rob custom built me a button assembly. So now the front dashboard looks so clean. There's no more turn knob. It's just flat black. It matches my bike. You just have the button, one button for ignition, one for accessory, and then it allows you full view of the screen. The screen modernized the look of the dashboard. The dash looks so modern and so clean now. Just getting rid of the turn knob and adding the buttons just completes the look. I love the way it looks. And it also gets rid of the issue of the switch coming in contact with the screen because there's no switch anymore. So I never lock my ignition anyway. So if you choose to go this route, you're not gonna be able to lock your ignition and lock the handlebars because the entire assembly is removed. The way the ignition switch works is if you turn the key to lock position while the handlebars are locked and the switch is in the lock position, a pin comes down and keeps the handlebars from being able to be rotated. It's no big deal losing that feature for me because A, the bike barely leaves the shop. B, it's not how they're stealing these bikes anyway. I've yet to seen a Harley stolen where they broke the ignition to take the bike. They actually picked them up and put them in the back of a pickup truck. So I guess it keeps people from putting it in neutral and being able to roll your bike down the block, but whatever. It's not an issue for me. It might be for some people. I love the way it looks, love the way it functions, and not only is it aesthetics, not only does it look better, if you're installing the Soundstream 13 and down Reserve for the street glide, it eliminates the knob being too close to the screen, the knob coming in contact with the screen, or the look of the knob blocking the bottom center of the screen. So thank you, Rob, for hooking me up. I just ordered one for my 14 and up street glide. I just like the way it looks, so I'm putting it on both bikes. Check out the video. Rob's gonna quickly remove the ignition switch. We're not going over how to remove the ignition switch. There's a ton of videos on YouTube of how to do it, but you just saw how quickly you pulled it out. There's a little tab on the bottom that's got to be pushed in after you lock the key in place, and it's right there. So this is the switch removed. The reason we're doing this is the Soundstream Reserve, the switch comes dangerously close and I don't like it, so it'll look a lot better with just a flush ignition switch. We opened up the factory hole a little bit just so it'll fit completely flush. These holes are already there from the factory, so the switch assembly drops right in. It's nice and flush all the way around. Now he just has to remove the ignition switch assembly from the bike. It's two 5/32 Allens, one on each side. The reason it comes with relays, the ignition switch is high current, the buttons are low current. So it takes the activation, turns on the relays, and the relay switch battery power to the ignition accessory switches from factory. So it takes low current through here, and it switches high current out here. This plugs into the factory connector. You'll see that in a second. Now we have the switch assembly completely removed. And then you just plug the spades into the factory connector. Mount the relays. I like to tuck them under here and wire tie them up. It's important that you keep the relay sockets facing down. That way they don't accumulate with water. If you mount them upside down, they can fill up with water. You won't be able to start the bike. So you want to do it that way. There it is installed. It tucks nicely under the SoundStream Reserve. Looks so good. So if you need one of these switches, reach out to Rob Farnsworth, Pairadice Cycles. He's based out of Pennsylvania, and he gets them out pretty quick.